In this episode of Yoga Yay.
So we're talking about true nourishment when we speak about Ayurvedic diet.
Hey, mouse. Knock, knock. Mouse. Hey, what are you doing? Is that Cheetos? What are you eating?
No, carrot, of course. I mean, we're talking about Ayurveda today, so I have to eat healthy, I guess.
Yes, you know we're talking to one of the most amazing Ayurvedic chef and teacher today, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, eat that carrot.
Exactly.
Anyway, check this out.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Is that the new t-shirt?
Yes, this is our new Yoga Yay shirt. It helps us to be reminded to
live like a yogi or yogini.
Yeah, and I'm so excited we are actually sponsoring a bunch of new yoga challenges on our IG community so we can give out those shirts to yogis and yoginis around the world.
And not only that, we're also giving away shout outs to the amazing yogis who is competing.
So, shall we get ready for our guest?
Yeah, let's roll the intro, shall we?
Let's do it.
Modern Day Yoga Talks, brought to you by New York City-based yoga and meditation teacher Susan Hu and Stockholm-based musician and producer Songs of Eden. Now, welcome to Yoga Yay, as we connect with guests from all over the world.
Awesome. So, Divya, we actually do a very silly thing every time when we start. We say a welcome, but then we turn it into a welcome om. So we chant a om together. Would you please join us in this silly intro?
Okay.
Amazing. All right, let's do it. Welcome. Amazing. Welcome, Divya. I'm so excited today because Divya, your restaurant, it's literally my favorite restaurant and basically the only restaurants I go to these days in New York. And I'm just so happy that you're here to share your knowledge with us, to enlighten us with how a modern day yogi or yogini should be eating according to the teaching of yoga and Ayurveda. Can you tell us a little bit about your restaurant? Because you own one of the most popular vegetarian restaurants in New York City, and it's such a competitive market. What's your secret? How does that work? Because every time I go there, even now during COVID, it's always still so busy, so popular.
Oh, Susan, thank you so much for having me on the Yoga Yay podcast. I'm really honored to be one of your first guests.
We're so happy to have you.
Yes, Divya's Kitchen has been there at the base of the Bhakti Center in Manhattan in New York since October 2016. It's always been a vegetarian restaurant, and we have about 85% of the menu is probably vegan. So we usually list it in both categories. To me, Divya's Kitchen is just an expression of service. It's not, hasn't been profitable since the pandemic, which has been really challenging. But at the same time, we were able to support a lot of local people who stayed in the city. Because see, when we're challenged with a massive health issue, global health issue, it's so important for everyone to keep extra care of our health. Our food is so much needed right now. Our restaurant and our menu, they're based on the principles of Ayurveda, which teaches us how to eat food that's easy to digest, and it's also delicious, and it's fresh, and it's seasonal. And this kind of food also strengthens the immune system.
Yeah. I was so curious. The first thing I did was to look up the menu on the restaurant, and I thought I'm going to pick out the menu for myself, but I couldn't really decide because it all looked so yummy and delicious. So I said, I just want to try it all. And actually, Susan promised me to, when I come to New York, that's the first place we're going to go to is your restaurant and try out the food.
We'd love to have you, Mans. We'd absolutely love to have you. And stay for a few days so that you can try everything on the menu.
Because it is very hard to pick, first-hand experience. So Divya, can you tell us a little bit more about Ayurveda? How do we eat according to the seasons? How do we eat according to the different types of our bodies? Ayurveda is getting more and more popular these days, but I feel like it's still pretty new and concept for most of us to grasp.
Yeah, well, see, Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. They're two ancient sciences that one of the goals is to help us integrate our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of our being and our life, and to help us really live in alignment with our purpose, with what we meant to do, with who we are. So in order to do that, we need to have a healthy body. So yoga and Ayurveda really help us keep health on every level. We can use the body as an instrument to fulfill our purpose, to achieve our dreams. Diet, what we eat, is a big part of our health. And it's a very individual approach. Ayurveda always has a very individual approach for eating. So it's not one diet fits all. It's more personalized and customized. And what I love about Ayurveda is that Ayurveda looks at food as not something that we put in our mouth. You can eat a lot of junk food and think that you're eating, but you're actually not nourishing your body. So Ayurveda looks at food. The Sanskrit word is ahara. It means what we take in. What we take in involves food, but it's the kind of food that's very nourishing, the food that nourishes us on every level in our body, our mind. So we're talking about true nourishment when we speak about Ayurvedic diet and Ayurvedic way of eating. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm a vegan, and what do you eat? Oh, I eat a lot of frozen meals and a lot of processed and packaged foods. And it's like, that's not the point. The point is to nourish yourself, not to just eat and put things in your mouth. So the Ayurvedic principles of eating is to always choose and prefer invigorating foods that are fresh, opposed to leftovers or packaged frozen, like canned foods. So something that's suitable for you, for your nourishment, Susan or Mans, may not be suitable for my nourishment. It's not the kind of food that nourishes me right now. The more you study Ayurveda, the more you learn about your own body and what you need for nourishment right now, where you are, also physically, in the climate that you're in, the geographical location, the kind of physical activity, the kind of digestion and metabolism that you have right now. And then Ayurveda teaches us how to select the foods that are suitable for us to keep us in a balanced and healthy state so that we can do what we want to do.
I actually do remember there was once, Divya, I was on a juice cleanse and I went to your restaurant. I was like, I want this grape soda, the lemonade. I always love that one. But then you reminded me, oh, if you're on a cleanse, you shouldn't be drinking anything carbonated. Maybe we should substitute the soda water with just flat water. And it was like, whoa, it's really not about what I'm doing. It's not about just only drinking juice for juice cleanse, but it also matters what type of juice you're drinking, whether it's supporting the cleanse or it's creating some other type of tension. So it's just a little example of me as a customer at the restaurant and how Divya was able to use your wisdom to help us. Can we also just take a little step back? Because I feel like maybe we've all heard of Pitta, Vata, Kapha, but maybe the doshas are not a very commonly understood concept. Divya, would you be able to explain it in a way that's easy for any of us to grasp that concept of the different dosha? What does it mean, and how does that help us to determine what type of food we should eat?
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's a huge topic and something we learn. It's a lifetime project to really master the knowledge of this. Let's start with prana. So in yoga, and in every yoga class, we hear the word prana. Prana is the cosmic life force, is the living energy that keeps us alive. And we sustain on prana. And we get prana through the air, of course. When we breathe in, that's energetic nourishment. We also get prana from the solar and lunar energies. Without the sunlight, without the moonlight, we will not be able to exist on this planet. So the three aspects of prana are the lunar energy, which is called soma in Ayurveda, soma. The solar energy, Agni, that's the energy,
the fire,
the fiery energy of the sun, and then the lunar, the marut, it's called marut. This is the cosmic air and space. These three energies manifest in our body as the three doshas. So the combination, and before they manifest in our body, they manifest on planet Earth as the five physical elements. which are the space in which everything is contained, or the ether, and then the air, fire, water, and earth. So these are the 5 elements, and you can break down the whole planet to these 5 elements. Everything is made of these elements, including our body. So the combination of these elements make the 3 doshas. They're like energetic principles in our body. So the element of space and air, the energy of space and air, make the Vata dosha. And Vata, just like imagine what the characteristics of space and air, it's very light, very mobile, it's all pervading, it moves very easily, it's cold usually. Yeah, it's very light. So it's very subtle also. So Vata, these are the characteristics of Vata in our body. It's the energy of lightness and coldness and mobility. So Vata governs circulation in the body. It governs all the 5 types of air that we move also when we do pranayama. And Vata also governs the movement of the mind and the movement of the body. So that's Vata. And then Pitta is the energy of fire with a little bit of water. So it's kind of like a fuel, like a liquid, like a thick liquid fuel. So the Pitta energy governs every type of transformation in the body. And it helps anything that needs to be cooked and transformed in the body, including digestion, including the transformation, like when we eat, how the food we eat transforms into every little micronutrient to nourish the body. And then it governs our vision, Pitta, the ability to see, to envision, the energy of the sun, the energy of fluids, so the water, all the fluids in the body, and then the earthy energy, which is the physical structure, the bones, the muscles, the fat. So this is the combination of the water and earth elements and energies make the Kapha dosha, which governs the stability and the structure of the body. And we all have all 3 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to fit every little single aspect onto yourself. Maybe you're 80% of something and 10 of something else.
Yeah, everyone is different. So exactly, man. So everyone has a different combination of these energies. Some people have more Vata predominant. When Vata is out of balance, they're like constantly moving, fidgeting, always finding some way to move. I'm like that. I'm always moving something in my body.
Me too.
And my mind is always moving. But so there's so many characteristics listed. There are all kinds of dosha quizzes you can find online. Also, some people are more fiery. They always feel very hot, even in the winter. And then kaphas, they're very grounded people. They're slow but steady. And you just feel so peaceful around them. They're just grounded, very loving. They have the kind of body type that's the natural beauty is to be more rounded. So each one of us has our unique body type and also our unique imbalance. It's more important to know your imbalance than to know what your body type is, because the imbalance is what you need to work on to bring yourself to perfect health, which is your body type.
Something I've been thinking about that I wanted to ask you about is, do you think that we are born into one direction and then strive more into the middle the older we get, so to say? That if you're a Vata, then the way you grow is picking parts from maybe the Pitta and the best of the best, so to say, in order to grow and become a better human being.
Well, you're taking it to a whole new level, Mans. But yes, you're bringing a really good point, because the different doshas are predominant also in different stages of life. So we're born with our unique constitution, but practically from day one, when they give us the first vaccination, we get some kind of imbalance. So, but the stage of early childhood is usually more kapha predominant. That's why babies are so chubby, and they eat a lot and they sleep a lot. This is the period of growth. So during the period of growth of the body, that's predominantly kapha. And then usually from puberty until for women is until menopause, for men is around that time too. So that's the pitta period of time. And this is when we feel more active, we're motivated, we're driven. This is when we procreate and have children and get things done. So that's the pitta period. And we have that fiery drive to accomplish things. And then and that's for most people now. Some people achieve the heights of their careers when they're 70 years old, but these are usually exceptions. Usually from the 50s up until the time of death, that's usually the vata period of time, where our body starts to dry up. That's why we get wrinkles. Our energy becomes more unsteady. That's usually the time recommended for spiritual enlightenment, to really focus on that during that period of time.
I was asking because I just noticed that people who are the most energetic are those who oftentimes say that they benefit from meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right, because meditation is the perfect way to balance our mind and our energies and to slow down aging as well. But and that has been scientifically proven as well. Everybody needs to meditate today, because the lifestyle and the environment. I mean, just think about just the Wi-Fi and alone is so challenging on our physiology. But the stress and the environmental pollution and the lack of ability to rest properly, all of this builds up so much tension in our body and mind. And meditation is really the answer to a lot of these struggles, because our body is driven by our mind. Our mind makes the decisions of what we want to do, where we want to go. And when the mind is restless and really stressed out, it totally affects our body. So meditation is a wonderful medicine.
That's so beautiful. And I think Ayurveda also teaches us that opposite creates balance. I think what Mans, you were saying absolutely makes sense. If I'm already overly active, then maybe I need to find a balance by inviting something that's more quiet. If I'm already feeling a little bit sluggish, then maybe I need some stimulation for me to come back to the middle place of that balance.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. And that's what you do with your yoga classes, right? So you have restorative, which is my favorite class with you.
Yes.
I need the restorative more than anything else with my.
We're still doing it online. So Divya, if you want to join, please come join us anytime. 5:45 on Sundays. We still have that class, but it's great. On Zoom now.
Great to know. Yeah, you're such a wonderful teacher. You're my favorite. Yoga teacher.
You're my favorite.
But then you also have, one time I ended up in a class a friend was teaching, and it was almost like acrobatics. And I'm like, I can't follow this. This is too fast. It's too intense for me. Food is the same as the kind of food that you select will be the same as the kind of sequence that you would select. As you said, we balance with the opposites. So you always check in with yourself what you need right now, and then select the foods that will create that nourishment, both physically and energetically.
Divya, that sounds amazing, but also sounds so complex to really be able to adjust and adapt to an Ayurvedic lifestyle, especially just starting from the diet. If for some of us, it's just starting on this journey, how would you suggest us to start? What are the small adjustments that all of us can try to incorporate into the life so we can start to use the foods to help heal the body, heal the mind?
Yeah, I was so confused in the beginning too. So if any of our listeners are feeling confused, don't worry, it's just temporary, and you can get a lot of clarity about it. But for me, the first step was to really understand a little bit more and to learn to listen to my body, especially with food and digestion, how the digestive system works. Checking in with your appetite. How hungry are you? So if you're very hungry, you need to eat foods that are a little heavier and maybe bigger quantity to satisfy your appetite. If you're not very hungry, then adjust the portion. And if you're not hungry at all, don't eat. Because it's like pouring gasoline or putting wood on fire that's not burning. When you have strong fire, you have to put big logs of wood to feed it. If you have little fire, you start with little twigs and smaller pieces of wood to help bring the fire up. If you don't have any fire or no appetite in this metaphor, then you just keep putting wood, it's not going to burn. So this is how we our body accumulates a lot of toxicity when we eat food when we're not hungry, or when we eat too much food and we're not able to break down everything. Connecting food to your digestion and your appetite was one of the first steps for me.
Amazing. So Divya, we actually prepared a few, we call it the fast flash questions that we didn't tell you. It's super, super simple, but I just wanted to hear your instant answer to these questions.
Okay, shoot.
We're about to ask you a few flash questions. Try to answer without thinking too long.
Okay, so the first one, salt or pepper?
Salt.
Second one, French fries or cookies?
Cookies.
Yoga or meditation?
Meditation.
Almond milk or coconut milk?
Almond milk.
Mouse, you can go ahead with the rest of those. I'm leaving you the tough ones.
Okay, here comes mine. Never be able to taste while cooking again, or never be able to cook with vegetables again?
Well, I already do never. I don't taste while I cook. I taste at the end. So I'll go with the first one.
Okay, last one. Susan or Mons?
Oh no, don't put me in that category.
Just for fun. Thank you so much.
2 months. 2 months.
Good one.
You want another tip?
Yes.
More. Give it to us.
Well, even if you, in the beginning, even if you don't know what foods are good for balancing which dosha and this and that, don't worry about that. Favor freshly cooked food over leftovers. Leftovers are always harder to digest, and they create a lot of sludge of semi-digested food in the body. And I know in America, this is people usually like, what do you mean? I eat leftovers all the time. And I'm like, okay, so tell me about your digestive issues. I always suggest, instead of cooking on Sunday for the whole week, do all your prep on Sunday and then make quick, fresh meals during the week every day, because most of the cooking time is usually prep. And while the soup is cooking, you can be doing something else. Everything is already chopped and prepped, then it's so much faster to prepare a fresh meal. And that will immediately give you more energy. And the other thing is to avoid processed foods and canned foods and frozen and foods with a lot of preservatives, because there's a lot of artificial chemicals that really block our channels and slow down our metabolism and create a lot of havoc in the body. So they accumulate gradually, so you may not feel it right away. But so start with these and eating seasonal food, like what's in season right now, eating more warm foods and heavier foods in the winter, and eating lighter foods and fresher foods in the summer. I explain all of this in my cookbook, What to Eat for How You Feel. The book is organized according to seasons, so how to cook seasonal foods and adjust each recipe according to the type of digestion and appetite you're having today.
Oh, I love that. How about food that has traveled? Because for me, living in Sweden, sometimes I feel that I have no human right to eat mangoes from Chile on a daily basis that has been traveling for days to my mouth.
Yeah, Mats, I lived in Sweden for 5 years. So I'm
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I was there through all the winters.
Did you eat mango?
I didn't have mango. No, I didn't have mango at that time. This was in the mid-90s. I was in Sweden. And I love Sweden. I love the Swedish people. But haven't learned the language yet. It's too complicated.
Hey, maybe.
So, yeah, that's the challenge, eating local food. So I would sometimes taste it simply because I'm curious. I want to know what it tastes like and what the properties are of the ingredient. But I usually avoid that. It's really hard, though, because, for example, I use fresh lime juice every day, and limes don't grow in New York. We get limes from California or from Mexico.
But still, it's not from Japan, so to say. It's still the same country. That's what I
Right.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's different climates. So, I mean, we use dry goods from all over the world, right? We get so many lentils and grains and spices from India and other places. But with fresh produce, it's always best to go local. It's really hard in the winter. The only exceptions I make is with very medicinal foods that are hard to get locally. Like I love sweet Thai tamarind, like the fresh tamarind pods, and I can get them here in New York, so I use those. Or the citrus fruit, or the taro root, I would use as well. But it's nowadays such a global economy. It's very hard to find. Is this ginger from China, or is it from where is it from? Especially if you're shopping in a store, like a small store, and they don't tell you the full information.
So Divya, if someone wants to learn how to cook Ayurvedically more from a more systemic way, you are also now hosting online cooking classes, right?
Yes, we have regular cooking classes almost once a week. I'm about to teach a class this Saturday. We're just finishing the winter semester and we're starting a spring 2021 semester in April. And the class sold out today, so I'm sorry we cannot take more students for this specific training, but we do offer different level of classes, and not just cooking classes, but also other workshops related to Ayurveda and health. And they've been very, very helpful. And they're all virtual classes. You can watch them from all over the world.
And where can people find you if they want to join some of the workshops and hopefully the future trainings that's not sold out yet?
Yes, it's our nonprofit school. It's called Bhagavat Life. And the website is bvtlife.com. And yeah, you can see full description of our projects there.
And what's the website to the restaurant if people want to know?
divyaskitchen.com. And also the other thing we have is during the pandemic, we started retail products. So we actually have at divyaskitchen.com, we have an online shop where you can purchase, we created these meal packets, like a khichdi packet for every dosha and one that's tridoshic, that's balancing for everyone. And all the spices, salt, everything is in there. You just have, it's already been soaked and washed and dehydrated. So you just have to pour it in hot water and you have a hot, fresh meal in 15 minutes.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And we're also offering a special discount to all of our listeners today for your first purchase at our store. And the discount code is YOGAYAY15.
Yoga, yay!
Yoga, yay!
YOGAYAY15 is your 15% off your purchase if you like to try our products.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. You're so generous, Divya. So the next question for you is, it's actually from my husband. If there's one spice that you don't think most people know of, but you love cooking with, what would that spice be?
I love all spices, but one spice that I noticed that people don't know much about as a spice, they know it more as an oil, is black seed. Black seed, also known as nigella seed, also known as kalonji. In my cookbook, I call it kalonji. That's the Indian name. And also known as black cumin. It has many names. Nowadays, people have heard a lot about the superpowers of black seed oil, which I don't really use because it's a little too heating for the liver. It has to be used very carefully, and it's not for everyone. But the black seed is so delicious, first of all. So it looks like tiny, almost like sesame seeds. So they almost looks like black celery seeds. They're black, they're completely black, the seeds. Wonderful flavor. And kalonji is one of the best spices to help you fully digest your food, break down your food fully. And also if there is some residue in your physical channels, in your digestive tract of semi-digested food that kind of got stuck in there from the meal you had 3 weeks ago, eating kalonji regularly can actually burn that and eliminate it on time from the body. And it also burns ama, which is semi-digested toxins from every single tissue in your body, from your blood, from your muscles, from your fat tissue, all the way to the nerve tissue and reproductive tissue. So it's a very detoxing spice, but it's also very nourishing spice, and it's so tasty, and it makes your food really pretty.
Wow, that's incredible. We need to all order that, get that spice right now. One question, very personal. Let's say for this spring, almost spring, early spring season, what's your favorite dish to cook then?
Well, and this is a recipe that's coming up in my new cookbook, which I'm writing now, and I'm in marathon. I have to submit the manuscript on time. I usually avoid eating sprouts because they're very airy and they aggravate vata. But in spring, sprouts are in season and they're actually very nourishing. And what I like to do is I take whole mung beans, like the green whole mung beans. I soak them overnight and then I sprout them with just tiny little shoots, maybe like an eighth of an inch, not longer than that. And then I rinse them really well and drain them. And then I saute them. So I would saute these sprouts, mung sprouts, with some turmeric, a little bit of ghee. I add a pinch of asafoetida and a little bit of coriander. So when you cook the sprouts this way, you don't get gassy from them.
But I sure got hungry, I can tell you that.
Me
Just-
too.
And then at the end, I like to add some leafy greens like spinach or arugula, and sometimes I would add some more vegetables to it. My husband and I, we love to have like salty kind of breakfast. We don't like to have sweet things for breakfast so much. And we like to have protein-rich breakfast. And these sprouts with the sauteed leafy greens, it makes a perfect breakfast. And it feels so filling and nourishing, and it's very high in protein. Also, to me, that's also a representation of Ayurvedic food. When you eat and you feel very full and nourished and satisfied, but in your stomach, you don't feel heavy. And people are always surprised is like, how is this possible?
And that's always how I feel whenever I go to Divya's kitchen. It's like usually I get a big meal because I really love your food. But when I leave, I actually feel good. It's not like I feel heavy. I feel like I will have to skip a meal afterwards. But even though when I feel full, I feel nourished. It's like a good kind of feel. It's hard to get when you have a vegan pizza or something.
Well, that's good. Thank you. That's a compliment. I take it as a compliment.
Yes, absolutely. So you're talking about your new cookbook that you're writing. Can you give us a little bit of preview when it's going to come out? What's it different from What to Eat for How You Feel?
My second book is a sequel to my first book, to What to Eat for How You Feel. We don't have a title yet for the second book, but the premise of the book is Ayurvedic cooking by ingredient. So it will be organized according to ingredient. I'm doing tremendous research for it. I have a full library of books that I use. A lot of them are the ancient texts like Charaka Sanhita, Ashtanga Hridayam, Bhava Prakash, and also Draviguna Vigyan, which is like a pharmacopoeia. I'm just so impressed and so inspired when I read how these ancient doctors and who wrote the ancient texts, they had such profound knowledge of the properties and attributes and actions of foods and healing benefits of foods. And they've organized it according to ingredients. So there's a chapter on grains, chapter in lentils and beans, chapter in vegetables, fruits, like that. And so my book will be organized that way. And I will be presenting the Ayurvedic knowledge for common ingredients that are available for us today. The ingredients that were recorded 2,500 years ago may not all be available to us today. And even those that are available are not exactly the same as those from thousands of years ago.
That sounds incredible. I can't wait to read it.
It's not just about, so I give the information about the ingredient, but then I also give you a few recipes of how to use that ingredient and how to cook with it.
So we can apply the knowledge into practice.
Yes.
Amazing.
And so connect the ancient wisdom with our modern life today with the ingredients that we have today.
Amazing. Mans, did you have another question that I interrupted you?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask real quick, because I really like the idea of that you also eat in peace and calm and relaxed, because that's a trap that I feel that I often end up myself, that I prepare a healthy, wonderful meal and then I just eat it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not just what we eat, but also how we eat it. And the energy that we put into how we eat it will affect our digestion. And, Ayurveda, some people look at Ayurveda as rules. It's important to understand the principles behind, like the why behind. I don't look at them as rules. I look at them as guidelines. And then I would choose the guidelines that work for me right now in my current situation. The reason it's important to sit down and so sit when you're eating, don't stand or walk when you're eating. That's one reason. So, and also the state of mind in which we eat can affect our digestion as well. So if you feel very sad and you eat, you'll feel more sad after your meal. Yeah. So there are actually specific guidelines for how to eat and what foods to avoid and when you're grieving, for example, because you want to transcend the grief and not just keep feeding the grief. So yeah, the state of mind. So if you eat in a peaceful and happy, satisfied state of mind, and you're focusing on your food and not on the external distractions, not just your body, you're feeding not just your body, but your mind is also getting nourished. So at the end of your meal, your mind will be satisfied as well. Because so many people eat, they distract themselves, and then they feel that something is missing. Their mind didn't eat with the body. And then they keep eating and overeating and becoming obese and having eating disorders that way.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I feel like so often, especially when the life gets so busy, we just eat in a rush without even connecting to the food, without even appreciating where the food comes from, the nourishment we're getting from the food. So it's such a good point that it's important to be able to really draw the senses towards the food, so we can direct the energy towards the food, towards how the food are bringing their energy, sacrificing their lives to help us sustain our lives. So beautiful. We have to, for today, I think after the recording, we're all have to change, not you, Divya, obviously, but Mons and I, we have to change our habits of eating now.
Yeah, and I think it's the yogic mind. It comes down to everything, like do everything 100% and in the present and eating. Lately I've been thinking, even when I do the dishes, like try to make it fun and doing it 100%. I'm not thinking, what am I going to do in 10 minutes? Just try to enjoy every single moment.
I feel like I'm learning so much from you, Divya. Every time I talk to you, it's incredible. If there's one tip you can share with our listeners in terms of how to eat according to the teaching of Ayurveda, what would that be? Or 3 tips, or however many tips you want to leave us with.
Enjoy your meal. That's really, really important.
Enjoy your meal. That's the best advice ever.
Yeah, you have to enjoy healthy food. Otherwise, you're just, yeah, I'm eating it. I know it's really healthy. Yeah, okay. No matter how healthy you think it is, it's not a healthy way of eating. And it will not help you sustain a healthy diet for a long time in the long run. So find the small steps that you can work towards and enjoy every step of the process.
Amazing. And if you happen to be in New York City, you can always stop by at Divya's Kitchen. Otherwise, you can order some of the spices or some prepared packages from Divya using our code YOGAYAY15 to get that amazing 15% off. Thank you again, Divya, for your generous offer. So sweet.
No, thank you. And we would love to serve you in any way possible. We're there 7 days a week from 12 o'clock and from 10 until from 12 to 10 p.m. Yeah, we look forward to reopening and being able to serve indoors and seeing a lot of our regular customers. We really miss you guys.
So Divya, usually we also do a very silly thing to end this podcast. We just literally sing out yoga yay, then we do this. Even though we're not recording the videos, would you join us in our silly dance to close our amazing? Mouse, would you want to do the honor and count for us?
I would love to. Are you ready, guys?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Yoga.
Yoga.
Yay!
Thank you for listening. Connect with us on Instagram, Yoga Yay Podcast, or send us an email, yogayaypodcast@gmail.com.